Hey everybody, this is Sage Valentine, and this is my review for Hannibal, Season 2, Episode 8, Suzakana. Suzakana is a dish made with vinegar to cleanse the palate. So I guess we're figuring out that this season has a whole, Japanese cuisine type thing going on, because each episode so far, like I said before, and in the previous season, have been different dishes. How they pertain to each episode, I don't know, but in this one is a clear sign that this episode truly is a dish made to cleanse the palate, because next week's episode with that strange looking werewolf thing, they gave us the calm before the storm. But this episode was calm, but it wasn't that calm because there was a lot of nasty, disgusting, and things that I learned and stuff. It just, this whole episode was crazy. So after this episode, we have 5 to go. So this ending is going to be crazy, and like I said, Michael Pitt is supposed to pop up either next episode or episode 10, and episode 10 is supposed to have this crazy, weird, freaky, psychological, psychedelic scene. I heard it on Tumblr. I heard it from Brian Fuller's interview, so it's supposed to be some type of crazy sex scene involving 5 different characters. Hey. Hey, that's all I can say. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how they get it over on NBC, but let's get to it. So, Will and Jack are ice fishing. Jack asks, how do you catch a fish that isn't hungry? Will says, change your tactic. Gotta make it bite. Hannibal's cooking trout. I assumed it was either trout or bass or whatever. He creates this dish with, like, octopus and all this stuff. He talks about veggies and hollandaise sauce. I'm just like, I'm all for eating fish, but like the live fish, you gotta cut in the fish and he can look at you, and then those tentacles from the octopus, ugh. But anyway, the dinner's for Jack and Will, because apparently Hannibal and Will are back on kind of speaking terms. I know that the Fannibals are going crazy over the whole Hannibal and Jack pairing between each other. I can't even remember what it's called, but there were a lot of scenes of that one. You infer what you want, guys. There were a lot of scenes with that one. A little sexual, little teeny bit. But it was my turn to provide the meat. That's exactly what Will said. It was my turn to provide the meat. You hook 'em, I'll land 'em. And they start talking about, Will says something about, or Hannibal, none of our actions are personal, and trying to get on this whole level with one another. We are the only ones who will know what it feels like. Basically, after everything that happened with Chilton, rest in peace, for the best hater on the show, finally turned over a new leaf, died last week. So, we see, they're at a horse ranch. Well, they're not there. There's these 2 men, and they're at, like, this horse ranch. They're at this stable, and they're walking in. And the other guy's telling him about one horse. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Definitely tell me if I'm off in the comments. But apparently this horse died, I guess, because she was pregnant and her baby horse died. It was basically born dead. So whatever's going on, she basically died. And they said like she stopped eating and then she died. And you see like a C-section scar. And the one guy was like, that was not there before. He's like, I don't know where this thing came from. So they cut it open, and inside, this woman with glassy eyes, she just pops out. And I'm just like, because all you see these intestines, and then I think, I wonder what they use to make the fake intestine. Ugh. I know in The Walking Dead they use barbecue, but I'm wondering, what the hell is that? And are those real intestines? Ooh, if not, gosh. Ooh. So, this is an example of turducken. So if you've never heard of turducken before, if you're not a fan of Supernatural, because they did have a turducken episode a couple seasons back with Dean eating this sandwich thing. But anyway, it was like this thing that the Leviathan were trying to get humans to eat, and it changed the way you act. But anywho, turducken is a dish stuffed into another dish, like a deboned chicken or fish stuffed into a deboned duck, if you get where I'm going. So everybody shows up, and they start talking, and Hannibal says all beasts of burden are sacred animals. He's saying that this animal, they're basically saying the animal was a sacrificial animal. In fact, that wasn't even Hannibal, that was that FBI dude. And the woman was dead before being placed inside. She put up a definite fight. Her death transformed into a life. So whoever killed her has this whole strange, conflicted thinking. And he thinks like no one else, and Hannibal's basically like, well, telling Jack, listen, you need to get somebody in here who doesn't think like everybody else, i.e. Will. So you see a woman who's pressed against glass. Somebody puts like something, looks like a piece of a paper towel or something against her eye. She's like standing there pressed against glass. You see this man drinking this martini, just tearing up this martini. I'm wondering who that dude is. If that dude turns out to be Michael Pitt, I'm going to be a happy camper. Yes, I'm Team Pitt all the way. Margot is her name. And she starts talking about mad dogs need to be put down. And she wants to kill her brother for what he did to her. And Hannibal agrees. He's like, it would be more therapeutic if you had killed him. So you see the sheets moving, you see the bodies moving, the writhing. You know, NBC allows a hell of a lot on this show, but sexually, that whole scene, they really didn't blur much. Like, you couldn't see their body parts, but that whole scene with them moving, like, I got it. I get it. Yeah, I can't wait till episode 10, but I get it. So you find out that's Hannibal and Alana Bloom. And Alana feels like they're having sex to avoid what she was talking about in the conversation. Hannibal says he's recovering from what happened, and so is she. And she goes along with everything she said. Everything he says. I'm just like, Lord, she sprung off of that Hannibal piece. But anyway, and I'm calling Alana the new hater because she's taken Chilton's place and is completely anti-Will. Rest in peace, Chilton. But anyway, Bloom says it's strange that Will is in therapy with you, Hannibal. I'm like, listen, Hannibal's not that stupid, and he's enjoying this, every bit of it. Will tried to kill Hannibal, and Hannibal basically explains that Will tried to kill him to prevent Alana's death in the only way that he felt he had to. And she doesn't seem fazed. She's like, well, he opened a door inside of himself and such and such. I'm like, ugh. Everything she was saying in that scene, I'm like, Alana, ugh. You turned on Will, I'm mad at you. So Hannibal is like, yeah, he's doing well. He's saying Will is doing well. He's healthy with a good psychiatrist. So we meet a new character. Well, she's not a new character because she's dead, but the dead lady's name is Sarah Craver. She was a horse groomer. And the FBI guys are checking, her mouth with Jack Crawford standing there. And the one guy drops something, and this poof of smoke comes out. I'm like, what the hell is in that mouth? So she has a heartbeat. And they like keep touching her. The one guy touches her, then the other dude touches her, and they cut her open. And all of a sudden, you see the heart beating, and out of the heart, I think it was out of the heart, pops this bird flying away. So for those who didn't catch what type of bird that is a starling. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is an Easter egg for what is coming soon. Clarice Starling, but it's a bird. Maybe I'm the only person who caught that. But anyway, it's another version of a turducken. So, back at the stable, Will enters and he looks at the file and he does the pendulum thing. Now, I wrote his speech out as much as I could for those of you who missed the episode, so you'll basically get it by the next episode. I don't want you to see me. I don't want you to see what I can do. There's comfort in darkness, but not for one of you. Then he's carrying this body inside. I took your life, then tried to give it back. I find the womb inside the horse and place you inside. I hope the forces of death and biology will bring you rebirth. So whoever the hell killed this woman and basically probably took out this horse is basically looking for some type of crazy, their version of religious something, rebirth, crazy things. And Hannibal basically said it was I think it's Will says it's a coffin birth. I said pretty much. So whoever killed the person forced the dead fetus out of the womb. And then they knew the horse, they knew the woman. This person's not a vet, but a healer. They're not a murderer, but they're grieving. So all of a sudden, we see this guy, and I am like overjoyed, like, holy crap, Dickie Bennett. If you don't know Justified, get to know it. Jeremy Davies has been my favorite actor for the past, 14 years. Love this dude. I forgot what movie he was in, but I love this dude. Gotta see him in Justified as Dickie Bennett. A mess. Him and Devil and Dewey Crow. Oh my gosh. Done. Just done. But anyway, God, I miss Justified. But anyway, he plays a character named Peter Bernardone. Yeah, Peter Bernardone. And he asks about Sarah Claiborne, and they tell her that she's dead, and Will tells him that there's a bird in her chest. He asks, is it alive? Red flag. He won't look at them, and like he kind of talks to them over the shoulder, kind of like this. And then he knows her, but like I said, they try to get him to look at her picture. He won't do it. He grabs it from behind like this, and grabs it from behind, and then he's like looking at it, and then he kind of puts it back away. I'm like, weirdo. I don't know what's wrong with this dude. Apparently you found out that he was kicked by a horse, so his head is all messed up, but he's still kind of worried about that starling, that bird. So Hannibal describes therapy with Will as a bird given wings, a rebirth. And he says something which I missed, and then Will says, the last time you nearly tried to destroy me. And he says, I prefer a string of omissions to outright lies. I believe did Hannibal say, either Hannibal said it or Will said that. And then Will says basically, don't lie to me, and Hannibal's basically like, don't lie to me as well. I'm like, this Hannibal Will thing, good Lord, Hannibal's, good Lord. So Will fantasizes about killing Hannibal, and he admits it. Will discover the truth. Doing bad things to bad people makes him feel good. He was like, I don't want to kill you now that I find you interesting. Again, like I said, whether Bryan Singer, thinking of X-Men, sorry guys, whether Bryan Fuller meant this or not, the scenes between Hannibal and Will are very, very, very homoerotic, very sexual. It's like a weird thing going on. I guess it's going to lead into episode 10. Like I said, we see Will looking at a new crime scene, and there's dozens of holes, and it's like, come to find out, it's about 15 empty graves. And as Will is walking over into the crime scene, that one FBI guy whose name I can't remember to save my life, he says that he owes Will an apology. He said and Will says, well, the evidence was compelling. And he says to Will, if Beverly thought we would listen, and Will kind of calms him down, like she knew, it's okay, it's okay. So like I said, 15 graves, with Sarah Cravers being the 16th grave, basically unearthed. And Hannibal's now talking to Margot again. He said, your brother dehumanized you. And she said, my family thinks I'm weird. Everyone loves a sinner, redeemed, a prodigal son. He made bad choices. He can make better choices. She believes that her brother won't stop. I guess won't stop terrorizing, killing women. I don't know. Something like it was very cryptic the way she was talking, but to me it seemed like he's yet another crazy killer that we're about to meet very soon. So, Will walks into the crime scene, and Brian Zeller, who's one of the FBI forensic guys, he comes up, he owes him an apology, and Will tells him it's okay, the evidence was compelling, and he was like basically that he should have believed Will. And what ends up happening is he says, if Beverly had thought we would listen, and Will kind of calms him down. So like I said, it's 15 empty graves, with Sarah Craver's open grave being number 16. Now they jump another scene, and Hannibal is talking to Margot, and he says, your brother dehumanized you. She said, my family thinks I'm weird. He's like, weird is good. Everybody loves a sinner, redeemed, a prodigal son. He made bad choices, but now he can make better. She believes that her brother won't stop whatever it is he's doing, killing or otherwise, and she feels angry about it, but she knows how to stop it. Now here comes Hannibal playing devil's advocate. Like, kill your brother, but wait until you can get away with it. Hannibal's always playing devil's advocate and every single corner possibly. So anyway, Will lets Peter Bernardone see the bird, the little starling, and he said that, she speaks to me. He's talking about Sarah Cravers. And he said, Sarah's everywhere and nowhere. So Will deduces that Peter was grieving, but he couldn't save her or the horse. but he's like, you could bring poetry to your death. And he said, if you could find me, I was hoping you could find him. Now, him being some type of shadow or imaginary friend that Peter has, something to that effect. So I looked at IMDb because I'm a cheater, and I was looking at the face, and I said, holy crap, I know that face. So the so-called imaginary friend or shadow is actor Chris Diamantopoulos. Yes, got it. He plays Clark Ingram, Peter's social worker. And he basically lacks empathy. He says Peter accused him of killing all 16 of those women, but he didn't do it. Peter did. And he feels angry. And Alana Bloom, he's like sitting in the room with Alana. And Alana notices that Peter writes more comprehensive notes, if that's the word. Like, he's more in depth with his findings than any other social worker that Peter has had. I guess she looked through the notes. So he cannot bear to be touched by her as she reaches over to the room, and Will realizes that, and he says, his eyes are as dead as a predator. I've seen it as he's evading every single question she keeps asking him. It's like he keeps like going on like, oh, nothing's wrong. Oh, everything's fine. I said, yeah, okay. He says, society needs caring people, and she deduces psychopaths when we also need psychopaths to keep us on our toes. Clark wants to leave, so Jack lets him go, to the disgust of Will, who basically is like, you got to keep this guy. This guy is doing something, but Jack, you know how Jack is, so Jack let him go. Peter returns to his little house thingy and sees all the animals gone. You see like this one little gray cat like walking over. And the cages are all turned over and everything is like shaking in his weight. So Peter goes into the barn and sees another dead horse laying there. And he's crying. And here comes Clark Ingram with a hammer covered in blood. And basically says, you are prone to extremes of emotion. So in other words, he's reflecting his psychological profile onto Clark to make Clark look like he's crazy. Clark is pushing his psychological profile onto Peter so that Peter will look crazy instead of him. So he basically says, if I had killed them, it's because they were worthy of me. I said, Clark is a whole new brand of crazy in this. So Hannibal's riding with Will because Will has like this eerie feeling. So they're riding to the barn. And Hannibal's like, if you can save Peter, you can save. Will basically feels like he's alone in the darkness. Hannibal says he's with him. There's another quote that I grabbed that said, if you can save Peter, you can save yourself. That's what Hannibal was saying. And I think Will said, I need to be saved from who you think me to be. So we see Peter sewing up the horse that's dead. And apparently we find out from Will that he put the Clark, the social worker, inside of the horse. And he said, that Clark helped him get over the fear of hurting things. He deserved to die, but as Will says, he deserved to die, but Peter did not deserve to kill him. But Peter's like, I didn't kill him. And according to Will, what was done to you was cruelty for cruelty's sake. And he was like, I envy you. Your hate makes it easier when you know how to feel. But Peter basically says, I didn't kill him. Because I wanted him to experience suffocation and the death he created. So like I said, he put him inside there and he's still alive. So you see him like his fingers coming out and he's like opening up and you see the intestines coming out. I'm like, oh, more intestines. It's like splush. He's like covered in like this thick red blood. I'm like, ugh. So the only thing he's after is this hammer. So all of a sudden you see Hannibal. Hannibal's all calm. He's like, you might want to crawl back if you know what's good for you. I'm like, damn. I was like, Hannibal. They gave Hannibal a snarky little remark just like Chilton. God, I miss Chilton. I miss my favorite hater. So Will comes out with this gun. He's behind Hannibal and he's like, and he's got the gun. He's holding like this. And Hannibal's trying to reason with him. Will tells Clark to pick up the hammer, and he's like picking up, and he's holding it up, and he's trying to beg for his life. And Hannibal's like, this is not the reckoning you promised yourself. So as he's about to fire, Hannibal did, I think, either the safety was on or Hannibal grabbed the gun before he was able to shoot. So in the end, Hannibal says, I can free the caterpillar whisper into the chrysalis, which is the little cocoon. And at the end, it kind of got lost, but I guess to sum it up, what he creates, what he emerges, is out of his control. So in other words, he now knows that he awoke the killer within Will. Maybe not the Chesapeake Ripper, but a killer no less. So, anywho, like I said, this episode was like a step up in gruesomeness. It was a little bit slower than what we're used to, but from what But from what they lacked in our usual crazy, they gave us a whole bunch of gruesomeness. So, note to everybody else next week who was extremely nauseated, because I wasn't, because I ate like 2 hours before this. Definitely don't eat anything while watching Hannibal, and don't eat anything at least an hour or two before it, because it's getting pretty gruesome. And next week's episode is going to be insane, off the charts and in the sky, and I need more insanity in my life because Scandal was a mess. The following Monday was crazy. Survivor was a hot mess as well. So definitely tune into those reviews, guys. If you've just subscribed to me, you haven't subscribed to me, subscribe and just enjoy my brand of crazy as it grows and grows. Anywho, definitely check me out on at twitter.com, Sage Valentine, 1,000 Heartbeats on Tumblr. The truth is on WordPress, and I hope you can handle it on Blogger. Anywho, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is Sage Valentine, and stay tuned for my reviews of Believe and Fargo, because I definitely have to start Fargo. Aw, jeez. Anywho, have a wonderful Good Friday, an awesome Holy Saturday, and a beautiful Easter, and I'll see you guys back on Easter Sunday. This is Sage Valentine. Like the video, thumbs up. Leave me a comment, question, anything at all. If I miss anything, let a sister know. But anywho, guys, thanks for tuning in. Sage here. As always. Bye, guys. Bye.